thanks and welcome back to the channel. We're talking about things that people look for when they're moving to the Nashville market and things that are important to them. And that's the Nashville area includes my living in Middle Tennessee, also in Southern Kentucky. A lot of people actually live in both states and actually work in that Nashville market. So those things can be appealing to you, just understanding the broadness of where you could be. So in this video, we're going to talk about the things that people are looking for the most, what's important to you. We're going to discuss some of that, and we'll probably touch on what my role really is, depending on your time frame. We're going to talk about today a couple of different key factors when people are searching for Nashville and whether Nashville meets that requirement for them. First and foremost, they want to know what the job market's like in Nashville. And with the booming economy of Tennessee, definitely Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky have benefited from that, because if you're in portions of Southern Kentucky, you're not very far from the Nashville job market either. So that's something important to remember if you like that feel of a little more country life or less urban, small town charm. You could actually find that there. And I'm dually licensed. I'm licensed in Tennessee and Kentucky, so we could actually look in both of those areas. But when you're talking about the Nashville market, that influx of business, that major industry coming to Nashville, that refurbishing, revitalizing Nashville and all it has to offer is a very, very intriguing and enchanting part about moving to the Nashville area and living in Middle Tennessee and living in Southern Kentucky. So the job market has been amazing over the last 5 to 10 years, especially for Nashville. We have Oracle coming, you've had lots of other major industry coming. Of course, it's a music industry and thriving in that, and it has been for a very long time, decades. Nashville's the capital of the state. I think people forget that sometimes because they think it's all country music USA, and Nashville actually is so much more than just country music USA. We love our music industry. We love all the genres. We're proud of it. We're happy for it. And certainly it offers a lot when you're talking about job opportunities, but it is not all Nashville is. And if you're from Nashville, like my family is, if you're from the area and have been in other cities in Tennessee, you know that Tennessee as a whole is a wonderful market for industry, for business, for medical. We're a huge medical area. And so, and education. So there's a lot of industry growth that is not centered only around our music industry that we love. We do love the music industry, but we also love and appreciate the business opportunities and the medical opportunities, and can expand on that. So it's not, oh, I can only move to Nashville if I'm in the music business. Not so. When we're talking about Nashville, and we're talking about all those things that Nashville has to offer, we're talking also about the cost of living in the general area. So obviously Nashville has suburbs and outskirts and lots of areas in its MSA, but the cost of living, though it is higher than, say, the national average, is still very, very maintainable, very, very acceptable, really good, actually. It depends on the area in which you choose to live as to what that cost of living might be. And that's where I come into play too. You might get a house that has the exact same offerings, whether it's new construction or existing, that has, the upgraded elements of the house build. But if it's in a different area than, say, one from the other, it may cost less to live in one of those areas. And that's just very appealing. That is something that we will talk about on a one-on-one call. So I definitely want to communicate with you directly, whether it's DM me, text me, call me, we get on a Zoom, we have a 30-minute initial understanding of what is important to you. But the cost of living in Tennessee is better than it is in a lot of other major markets, and that includes the Nashville MSA allows for that. So it's something to consider when you're moving here. If you're moving here from New York, you're gonna love it. If you're moving here from Connecticut, I mean, when it comes to your expenses and your costs and things like that, your taxes on your real estate are so much less than they would be in, say, California. Pretty much anywhere in California, I can beat you over there. And so that's something to consider. And again, we'll talk about that on your one-on-one call. So those things are very important for us to really communicate directly with each other about what's important for you when you're coming. And we'll touch on that a few minutes into this video about what my role is in your situation when we work together. So that's why we're doing this video today, to talk about all the things that are important to you, but also things to maybe clarify that you did not think of or somebody else hasn't answered for you. When we're talking about Nashville, we're talking about quality of life, your whole, situation. What is important to you? Do you have children? Do you not have children? Do you like to get to the outdoors? Do you want to live off the grid a little bit? Do you want to live in an urban environment? Do you want that fast pace? Hey, I want to go out and play and walk back to my place. Those things are all so important. So the quality of life in the Nashville area, in the Middle Tennessee area and Southern Kentucky is very, very appealing on so many different levels, from, lake and outdoors and biking, hiking and having fun with that. The ability to get to that if you like the mountains and what that time frame is like. If you like river fun and lake life, then you're doing a whole different kind of conversation with me. You own your own boat, you want dock access. Do you want to just live in the Nashville area, or do you want to commute up to Land Between the Lakes in Southern Kentucky? I mean, that's not that far. So you can really have a diverse quality of life. But overall, the Nashville area and its charm, its historical aspects, the welcoming personalities in our eclectic mix of people is really, really charming and nice and inviting. So Nashville actually offers a real mix of people, and we've grown exponentially over the last few years, and honestly, it's a melting pot of people from everywhere. So it's a lovely thing. You will find your people when you get to the area. You will find your people, and you will probably have a whole bunch of us say, hey y'all, welcome to town, or that kind of thing. But overall, the charm, the quality of life, the openness, the friendliness of Tennesseans as a whole is very inviting. So, we welcome you. We want you to come and just enjoy being you here. But Nashville offers that. So, it has been a wonderful place for people to flock to from other areas that maybe weren't so charming or fun, or maybe their quality of life changed dramatically. So we'll talk about that a little further too. Again, my role in this will be defined a little later in the video, but I certainly wanted to touch on some aspects of why people are moving to this area, what they're looking for, and what sellers expect of you too. I mean, if you're early in your search, maybe you just need to get my reload guide and drive around and see the things that you had planned on seeing on your vacation, but don't really look at properties yet because you're not even sure you're going to live here. So you're not really ready to go into somebody's home and have us all explain why you're going in their home and you're not ready to buy. So those are things that we'll touch on a few minutes into the video. So stay with me on that. But quality of life in this general area of the country is wonderful. We have all 4 seasons. We do have weather patterns that are less enchanting, I've got to say. We actually had a little earthquake not too long ago. We've had tornadoes. You've heard about those, and we do have some flooding that happens if we have massive, massive amounts of rain. I've grown up in the area all of my life and have survived it. So we do pay attention to our weather patterns. And if we're working together on a home that you're looking for, we're going to find you the home that makes you feel safe, that has all the things that you need. So lots of things to discuss when it comes to that on that 101 call. But yeah, we have weather patterns. We have all 4 seasons though, and they're not so horrible. So when we get into the winter, we get some snow, but it doesn't stay for months on end. We get some ice, and that can be a little scary, but it doesn't stay for a tremendous amount of time. Our falls are just breathtakingly beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Our spring is lovely, and it comes quickly and it doesn't stay forever. So we're not like, the Northeast and nice and cool for a great period of time, but we have lovely seasons. Now, summer is hot. You are in the South. You are in the Mid-South, and summer's hot, but it's not, I've lived in California where you've had roads buckle and the temperature was 116 degrees, and that's a very dry heat. We haven't had our roads buckle necessarily. We do have potholes from the winter, but so we have humidity, and humidity can feel really, really hot. But it's definitely, we have all 4 seasons. So that can be really enchanting about moving to this area and have it not be so extreme as it is in other areas. Or at least you get to see, you get to see your big heavy coat for the winter for a couple of weeks, So that can be kind of nice too. When people are talking about moving to Nashville, they're talking about what neighborhood they want to live in, okay? And so back to calling me up, let me give you my reload guide. You can actually tour around and see some great things. There's great things about every neighborhood of Nashville and every little, suburb of Nashville. There's great things about areas that are not actually in the Nashville MSA, but are certainly worth seeing. From historical things, just to learn about the area, is that going to be appealing to you? I'm in historical societies. I love history. I love education. So I actually love learning about areas that I have either lived in or I'm considering living in. And I love telling you little blurbs about those things. Nashville is rich in history, and each area has its own little interesting comment about their particular part in Tennessee's history or the country's history and that kind of thing. So that's pretty neat. Each neighborhood, will probably have a different market analysis, frankly. You definitely need your realtor. I know you've got other sources that you look at, like Zillow and Realtor.com and all the things that kind of borrow our information. And that's good, and it's nice and legitimate. But when we get on our one-on-one call and you're actually looking at a place that's appealing to you and your family, we're going to get more in depth in that, because maybe you've driven around, you've seen it at night, you kind of feel really like, this is it. I feel this place being our place. At that point, we'll get in, and if it's close enough to the time in which you're considering buying, and also for sellers, if it's close enough to the time where you're considering selling, we're going to get a real market analysis of your property or of the property that you're considering buying at that time, because it'll be more updated data. And by that, I mean the most recent data. So, but the neighborhoods are very, very appealing, and there's different things about them. Like I said, if you want that 15-minute city, you're going to want to be able to walk to everything and just kind of have it all inclusive. There may be a wonderful community in Spring Hill or Franklin or, Hendersonville that's like that for you. Okay, it just depends on what you want to spend. Your budget is important. And speaking of budget, we want to get on a call with my preferred lender. His links are down below. Absolutely have worked with several of them, but Billy is fabulous. And he's been in the Tennessee market a very long time, like I have as well. He's also able to help you in Southern Kentucky. But when we're talking about the budget, you may not want to spend X amount, and you may be able to spend X amount, but still feel more comfortable in this level. So those kind of conversations are really, really important to have. And your pre-qualification is necessary to go and see homes, because frankly, anybody can say anything. Oh, we're buying cash. Okay, it's all cash to the seller. It's just a matter of when they get it. So, and it's not that we doubt you as realtors that you can buy cash or you are buying cash, but are you buying cash because you have to sell your house in Dallas first? Well, that's a different kind of product, and that's a different kind of conversation. It's not cash yet. It's contingent upon your being able to sell successfully in another market. Those are very real conversations that we have together on our one-on-one. So get on a call, get pre-qualified so you get your comfort level, kind of there, so that we know how much house we want to look for. Because when we're talking about neighborhoods, each neighborhood has a different cost. And it depends on where you want to be. So if we're talking Green Hills, you're talking a whole different level of basic costs. If you're talking Brentwood, whole different level of basic, understanding of what you're probably going to find there for X amount of dollars. So if you're talking Hendersonville or Mount Juliet, whole different level of what you can expect for the offering in those areas. So, very important thing to do when you're actually seriously considering moving to Nashville. When you're on your prelim visit and you just want to go see all the shows and you're on your family vacay, and we want you to do that, and we want you to feel really good and comfortable here. But that's probably not when you really want to go look for houses, just to kind of look at some houses to have something to do before the show and after your museum. That's not your real time frame. I understand your excitement. I want to help you through that. We want to be close. I want to help you. I want to understand what you're looking for. But if you're not really ready to live here yet and you're just on your family vacay, let's get the reload guide. Let's go ahead and have you drive around and check out these areas, because you're going to know as a family what's important to you, what feels good. Maybe we really want to just look at these areas. This felt better to us. Those are the things that we'll determine together when we talk one-on-one. Something else that's important is safety. Safety in a big city is safety in a big city. There are different areas that are considered safer than others. I definitely cannot sell according to something like this. I never will, because I've got people who have successfully and happily lived in all areas of every city in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. So I'm never going to comment on that, but there are places for you to go to look at, to consider, statistical data that is important to you. So I encourage you to get on those sites, and I definitely encourage you to consider that when you're, driving around any big city, anywhere. I've lived in Indianapolis. I've lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've lived in Sacramento, California. I have lived outside of Sacramento. I have lived in San Diego in 3 different places in California. And I've lived in Nashville twice for 2 different stints at 2 different periods of time. So, I've got to tell you that the town has changed. My mama was raised there. There are places that are just, they don't even look the same as they did, 30 years ago. That's how life is. That's how your cities are. So I definitely encourage you to get on those sites and check those out. And we'll talk about what's important to you. Again, that one-on-one conversation with you is so important, because at that time we get to determine, hey, I want to be able to walk my kids to school. I want this public school system. Again, I can't sell according to schools, but you can go to greatschools.org and you can look up what may be important to you based upon your children's needs, if that's important. In selling and reselling, you're going to want to know those things about your area as well. We're going to be able to talk about that. There's only a few things I can publish. I can't say this is the greatest place on earth just because you think so. I also agree that there are so many elements about every house that I get to list that are wonderful. But there are legal things that as a realtor, I can't say. So I'm going to tell you those. I'm going to tell you those straight up. Don't put me in that position. And I can tell you also what's really, really important is for you to decide what's important to you. And I'm going to help you absolutely obtain whatever I can if you're my client as a buyer. But I'm going to also help you understand the importance of my role as a realtor, because I think some people actually think it's more than it is, or it's supposed to be something else. So I'm here to be that person, that resource, and explain those things to you. I've been doing this for 21 years, so I'm not interested in quitting, okay? But I am interested in making sure that you're properly educated on my role, because my role is not a tour guide or a door opener. I'm a professional realtor, and my job is to protect the integrity of any contractual agreement you enter into between buyer and seller. And my job is to help you understand what your role is too. And I have an ethical responsibility as well as fiduciary. So there's lots of things there that a realtor has a responsibility to be and do. And I think it's important that we explain those things. So while we're talking about some of the things that are important, and I know I've said that I'm not a door opener or a tour guide. Now that doesn't mean I don't have fun doing what I do, but my job is not to go out and just open 1,000,000 doors for you. Because if I'm doing that, we have not actually talked about the things that are important to you. Every house is gonna have something really awesome that you like probably. We're gonna keep making pretty houses just like we keep making pretty people. They just come around that corner every day. And aren't we lucky, okay? But that doesn't make that pretty person right for you, and that doesn't make that pretty house right for you. It's not based upon, oh my God, this one just popped up too. They're always gonna pop up. They're always gonna keep coming. We're gonna have different options everywhere. When you're really, really serious, when you know your job is gonna be here, or you know you're retiring and you know you're gonna end up here, when you know that you're ready to come into this area because you're going to get your kids settled and then they're going to start school. When you're actually ready to be here and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt you're coming to the Middle Tennessee area, you're going to work in this area, Southern Kentucky, whatever it is, then we're ready to really go out and look at what's on the market at that time based upon your needs. No, it doesn't mean you can't come here and live in your Airbnb for a few months. And in fact, if that's what you want to do, just be upfront with me. I understand that. You're not sure. You don't want to make that decision on the fly. I get that. Okay, I get that. I have worked a tremendous amount with the military. And so I am used to those people having to make some really fast decisions based upon their needs, based upon where they're going to work, and going off and save the world and save our country and protect us, okay? So I absolutely have worked in that very fast pace. I've got to make that decision quickly. And I've worked in that, hey, we're not sure yet, but we know we want to work with you. We're just not sure we're coming yet, or we're not sure when we're coming. So I'm ready for that. I appreciate working with you. I'm going to want to work with you when you're ready. But let's again get on that one-on-one call and talk about what is important, and time frame is big. Back to being pre-qualified. Your pre-qual lasts for quite a while, so that's very good. Your information with your lender, whether he's a recommendation of mine or you know who they are already, is your business. I need to know what we can do. I need to know how much we can look for. We don't want to just go out there and look for 200 million houses, because honestly, they're not all going to fit in your comfort zone. They may fit in your financial zone, but they're not all going to fit in your comfort zone. So we need to talk about those things as well. So I think those little things that we get and we collect on our call together really help me become the professional for you that you really need. My job for you, again, is not a tour guide or door opener, though I like to do it and I like to look at them too. But what you tell me is important to you is what I'm going to remember. And so if you change your minds and you say, well, we've decided that we really are okay only having a shower in the master, but I'm looking at these and you forgot to tell me, I'm going to go, hey, this one didn't have that tub, you know, but hey, are you still willing to see it? So just a little thing as an example that I'm using, but those are things that we need to keep in mind. We don't want to waste a seller's time either. You know, they want to sell their house and they want to know what you thought about it when we walk in. And if I have to go out there and say, okay, we're on our prelims, so we're just looking, don't expect much of a feedback on this because they're not really ready, but we're going to go out and see it, then I'm kind of not doing the seller right, and I'm actually not doing you a service. I do understand you want to see some places, but maybe we'll see many, just much less than you probably thought. Once we decide an area, we're actually kind of doing the right thing by everyone. And again, my job as a realtor is to actually be responsible to all aspects of everybody's situation. And in fact, let's talk about signing for agency. Do you need to sign an agency agreement? Well, yes, you do. Now, I've been doing this 21 years. I've always given you my buyer's pack, and we do go over those things because I'm licensed in 2 different states. There's 2 different kinds of contracts. You've bought and sold in different areas, I'm sure, at least once. And if you haven't, I'm going to educate you all the way through. I've dealt with a lot of new buyers, first-time home buyers. Here's the deal. It's different in every state, and there's a lot of paperwork. Real estate is not just location, location, location. It's disclose, disclose, disclose. We've got a lot of paper that we push. We've got a lot of information that we go over. I tend to go over a lot of it with you on your, buyer's pack because I want you to understand what you're going to be expected to actually sign. Agency agreement is now required to sign before entering a home, period. That is a national situation. That has always been really a responsibility of us to do, but some people are like, oh, we'll just go out for a couple days and then, they don't sign agency. Here's my deal. I'm a professional. There is no commitment that you have with me until you do sign. I have no commitment to you until you do sign. Now, you cannot go into a home with me unless you are signed. And that may be for a week, that may be for a month, that may be for 6 months. But if you want my investment in your well-being, I need you to have some faith in me and commit to me. So it's important that we bond. It's important that we talk about what's important to you. It's important to me that you find my abilities good enough for you to make that commitment. Basically, you do pay for your realtor. You always have. I don't care how it looked. The seller, it comes off the seller side and the buyer finances it in. Nothing has really changed. It's kind of like you both paid for your own realtor, but you don't have to do it till close. That's really how it's always been, in my opinion. Nothing has particularly changed. We do discuss it now, and now we're part of your contract. Before, we were never part of your contract, and we really didn't discuss what the realtors made. Now we have to. Now you know, and I bet none of you work for free in your current jobs. We bet. We bet you do not work for free. Now, if you're a business owner, you might feel differently. You pay everybody except for yourself, but there are benefits to that, and we're business owners too. But the truth is, you don't work for free, in my opinion, 99% of the time, okay? And we don't either. So, please understand that. And there is a fee for our services, and we're gonna discuss that with you. But I always want you to know what that means. And I don't get paid till you close. So I do a lot of work with you before you close. So we can talk on that a little further one-on-one, but I wanted you to understand what it really means when you're talking to a realtor. And I want to be your realtor. I definitely want to work with you. I want to work with you when your time is right. I want to understand what is important to you. I'm grateful for your business. None of that is something that I hide. I'm very open about that. I want you to understand what you're signing for, and I want you to understand what it means to be working with somebody who's a professional in an area that you're considering moving to or moving out of. Same thing with selling. I work with you. I don't work for you. I don't get paid until it's closed. I spend my money on your property, and I also stage your property oftentimes for free. Depends on the level to which we do it. But the point is, that is something I make an investment in, which is in your home. So we are partners in selling your home. I don't have to work with you. I want to work with you. You don't have to work with me. There's plenty of us out there for you to choose from. But I can tell you with all sincerity that I really strive to make the common good a great and wonderful experience. I want to work well with my other realtors. I want to create a great space for you, whether you're my buyer or my seller, for us to have and accomplish your goals. That's been my goal for years, is to help you successfully accomplish your goals. So let's get on our one-on-one call. I just wanted to touch on some of those things about, moving to the Nashville area, even moving to Southern Kentucky, what the expectations are, what draws people to the area. Is this a great decision? Is it a great decision to move to the Nashville area? Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a great time to buy. I will not pretend like it's not now, because it is now. We are still coming off of older trends. The houses are staying on the market less time now, even in April, which this is May, but we have our April data, than they were in March. And we are getting into a building season. We're getting into a moving season. When do kids get out of school? Right now. When do kids and parents start looking at, okay, we can now breathe. Are we going to move? We're going to go ahead and do it and get them situated, and then they can start the school year nicely. Right now, we are coming off a period of time where we actually started offering more in this general area, some concessions. Just a few years ago, you weren't getting any concessions out of the seller. You were hardly getting anything but an escalation clause and trying to beat that and buying only cash. We're not in that right now. It's kind of nice. Depends on the area in which you're looking. That can change a little. But overall, as a market condition, it's still very, very good for the buyer. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful to know. Let's get on that call. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.